there's one person you shouldn't trust if you want your business to scale. So I remember about 9 years ago, I moved to Statesboro, Georgia, from Atlanta, Georgia, because I was going to college at Georgia Southern University. And I remember when I got there, I went to school for music production and music performance. And I remember when I got there, I was rooming with my friends and some buddies that I had, and it got to the point where, I wasn't really going to class. I didn't really practice like I should have, and I wasn't really focused on being the best student I could be, so I could get my degree and excel in the path that I wanted to be in. And I remember I would have lessons with my professor, and probably about the end of my freshman year, I went to have a lesson. It went okay. And I remember my professor looked at me and said, "Jordan, you have a real chance to be super successful, but you have to really lock in and start taking practice more seriously. Start listening to the music that I send you, and really hanker down and get focused so you can be successful now." And that lesson happened, and I went on. I was like, yeah, and I told him I would. And a few months go by. It's probably my sophomore year, and that conversation comes up again in his office. And he's telling me, "Listen, you're getting better. Like, you're getting there, but you could really be farther ahead. You just have to lock in and really practice and focus." And then that happens. It happens. A few months goes by, and it happens again my junior year, to the point where going into your third year, you have to pass a playing test to continue, and to the point where I didn't pass that playing test, so I had to switch my major. And in that moment, I was really reflecting on, why did that happen? Because time after time again, we had that same conversation. And what I realized was that I had been telling him I was going to get better. I've been telling him that I was going to practice more. I've been telling him that I was going to really hanker down and focus in, but it wasn't happening. And I want you to think about that. Like, if you have somebody in your life that they always tell you you're going to do this and this and this, and no matter what it is, and they don't do it, what happens? You end up losing trust in that person. And that's the principle for the story, is that when you lose trust for something or someone, then the likelihood of you being able to believe that it's going to happen is going to go completely down. And the same way that I was doing that to my professor and other people in my life, I was doing that to myself. Why? Because I would tell myself, okay, you're going to wake up early. You're going to start eating healthier. You're going to practice more. You're going to stop playing video games all day, and you're going to really focus in. I would tell myself those things all day, but I wouldn't do it. So what would happen? Because I wasn't doing it, I started to trust myself less and less and less. And for a lot of people, for maybe you watching this, you are seeing opportunities. You have opportunities to be great. You have opportunities to get your business to the next level. You have opportunities, you have things come across, but because you have been lying to yourself constantly, because you have lost trust in yourself, it's hard for you to take action. It's hard for you to think clearly and see clearly and have the right perspective to see success. And a lot of people deal with that. And I know what you're wondering, what's the question that you're always asking, is this: how do you fix it? And there's two ways to fix it. And the first way, and the way that actually happened to me in my life, is that life sends you extreme circumstances where you don't have a choice but to either swim or drown. And I remember a few years after I switched my major, I got involved in a business opportunity in direct sales and learning how to sell and becoming a salesperson. And I really had to focus and lock in, because at that point in my time, I didn't have any money. I was spending money recklessly. I was broke, literally had less than $3 to my name. And I remember it was a switch where I had to get it together, because life at that point was either I'm going to figure this out or I'm not going to have money to pay rent. I'm not going to have money to get food. Like, I literally was eating ramen every day because I didn't have any money. And that point in my life, when it was so low, I had no choice but to lock in. So what did I do? I went to the extreme. And I want you to understand this. The most successful people are obsessed people. And there may be a season in your life where you have to become obsessed, where at that point where life had me down, I had no choice but to go out and win. So what I do, I had to get extreme. I literally stopped listening to music and only listened to audiobooks. I started getting up early to read. I started reading books. I had read more books in a span of 6 months than I had my entire life before. Why? Because I made a decision that I was going to be great. I made a decision I was going to change my life to the point where I didn't listen to music for 6 months straight. All I listened to in the car or when I was going to class or when I was at home, only audiobooks and reading books or listening to mentors or podcasts or whatever I could to get me to the point where I could become successful. And because I did that, I started seeing success in the business where I was able to grow a sales team to where we were doing a few six figures a month in revenue. And I was making more money than I ever made. I was actually making more money than some of my professors were making because I made a decision. And because life got to a point where I had no choice but to win. Now, some of you is watching this, maybe your life's not bad. Maybe your business is doing okay. Maybe you're not out of shape, but you still want to get to that next level. Well, what if life is not forcing you to level up? How can you level up to the point where you start trusting yourself? And the easiest way to do this is to get yourself little wins. And it's like you trusting somebody, maybe somebody that you fell out with or a relationship that the trust is broken. How do you rebuild that trust? Well, that is by you seeing small progressions in that person to where now you start trusting them again for the bigger opportunities or bigger things that happen in your life. So maybe it's you saying, I'm going to do this one thing, dedicate to this one thing. I'm going to wake up at this time. And no, you're not going to wake up at 5 minutes late, or you're not going to hit that snooze button twice. You're going to immediately do it. And that small win over and over again is going to start building that trust in you. Or maybe you say, okay, I want to lose weight, so I'm only going to eat out one day a week now. Well, by you doing that one action and you staying on it, yeah, when it gets hard and you're in the fight and you're driving past that Chick-fil-A, you're driving past that McDonald's and you want to stop, but you are so focused, you're so locked in that you're saying, no, I promise myself this one thing. Boom. You're going to start building trust. It's one step at a time, just by you figuring out those one things, and also by you neutralizing those emotions that you have, because every single thing that's fueling you is through an emotion. Why? Because your emotions are indicators to what's happening to you physiologically. Excuse me. But those things are happening to you. Those emotions are happening to you. Those feelings are happening to you. You have to understand how to control that. Or I'm going to do this for my business. I'm going to lock in these 4 hours. And these 4 hours, I'm going to only work on this. And when you start focusing on those one things, you're going to start gaining trust little by little. Understand, it's not going to happen overnight. You're not going to just start trusting yourself after one day of doing this. It's going to take time. It's going to take proper systems, a proper game plan, a proper things in place for you to be successful. But when you do that, you're going to start trusting yourself again. And the moment you start trusting yourself, you're going to realize that it's not that you don't have the skills. It's not that you don't have the wherewithal. It's not that you don't know what to do. It's that you just don't trust yourself enough to do the things that's already inside of you to get to where you want to be. Because guess what? You don't need anything else. You are enough to get the success you want. But you have to just make a decision and be able to trust yourself enough to take heed of the opportunities that you want in your life. And once you do that, you're going to see success.